Welcome back.
Welcome, Brandon. Welcome.
Sleeping around the podcast.
I love that you're in child's pose.
That's right.
With Dr. Brandon and Matthew.
That's right.
Handsome Dan,
that's
always here behind the scenes, except when he's not here because he's late.
That's right.
Hey.
He wasn't late today. What we learned
when are we
was
going to let that one
scheduling
go?
probably episode 123.
Yeah.
But thanks guys for coming back today. Today it's just the three of us hanging out, talking, and we were kind of recalling some things. But what we wanted to kind of do, there's been a lot of things going on in my life from a personal health standpoint that I've been really diving into health optimization.
That's right.
And I think what we really know, what we understand is that sleep is a huge part of optimizing your health, your wellness, your performance, and your longevity.
And nothing beats that when you're on the road and you need somewhere to stay to get that rest and refueling that you need.
What hotel would you stay at, Matthew?
For me personally,
if you were coming to Austin and needed a comfortable bed to lay your head other than mine or some of our other people.
For me, it would be AC Hotel, Austin South, Hill Country. And that team over there is amazing. Charlotte and their team have always made me feel welcome, has always made our guests feel welcome. And now with the grand opening that they just had and their new bar, Violet Sky, on the 5th floor out there, it is just a great place to stay. It's a brand new hotel. Brandon knows the location better than anybody here in Austin South, and it is beautiful. So,
well, and the great thing for our podcast guests that come and stay there, many of our podcast guests have stayed there and do stay there when they come because it's real close to our studio.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's an 8-minute drive.
That's right.
Down the hill.
And hopefully one day it could be even closer.
Could be even closer.
So
if you're looking for a place to stay, AC, I think AC stands for autograph collection.
Sure.
I think.
I don't know.
Do you know?
I thought it was AC Slater after Saved by the Bell.
That could be too.
Air conditioning.
Air conditioning.
I
think it's the autograph collection.
Always comfortable.
Always comfortable.
Whatever it is. It's the AC Hotel. It's a Marriott property.
It is. Bonvoy.
So if you want to use your Marriott points, you can do that there. So what we've been talking about, or what I've been looking into and trying to dissect, is how do I, part of this is turning 40 last year. And I think that I hit my midlife crisis, but then I realized it's not my midlife crisis yet because I'm going to live much older.
You're allowed to, so you're planning to hit your midlife at 60 or 70?
I think so now. Okay. Now that I know what I know.
That's awesome.
So, I read a book. Like in paper form.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Good for you, Brandon.
Tony Robbins and Peter Diamandis.
Life Force.
Heard them on a podcast. Life Force is the name of the book. I went through their diagnostic deal, talked to a telemedicine doctor, did a full blood panel, looked at all the things and said, how do we optimize this? Okay. So, and one of the things that came up in that telemedicine call was sleep. It's like, well, how's your sleep? And of course, we get there and they're like, okay, yeah, you're doing all the sleep things. But what we did find was, needed a little more omegas. Vitamin D is actually good because I've been supplementing with vitamin D. Testosterone and DHEA was a little low. And so they recommended some supplements. We talked about NAD. And I do the NAD vitamin push infusions now.
We talked about that on the
Yep. So we do the NAD. They talked about supplements that can help increase your NAD. So NMN is the supplement that we're now doing. And this is all about DNA damage, DNA repair. And again, optimizing your health. And then the other thing that I'm looking at for my back and the degenerative changes that I've had in my back is potentially stem cells. And so I looked into Panama where Tony Robbins went, and they don't do the back injections there because they don't have the C fluoroscope C-arm. So then I heard another podcast that was Dave Asprey. And he was talking about stem cells. And anybody who's listened to Dave Asprey, Bulletproof Radio, Bulletproof Coffee,
a legend,
and
biohacking.
Take what you want. There's some people that say, there's some here, and other people love it, and other people are like, I think there's, there's something there.
Sure.
Do I believe 100% of everything he says? Maybe not,
Right.
but there's a lot of good stuff that's coming up on his podcast, and there's some interesting guests on his podcast. And I've heard 2 specific guests talking about back pain and stem cells. One of them was a doctor here locally in Austin. The other was a doctor in Utah, Park City, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
So I actually had a consultation with this doctor in Park City. And guys, I've been doing the research on stem cells. It's pretty impressive in terms of what these stem cells are doing for people.
Absolutely.
And I've heard stories of neurologic disorders, Parkinson's, autism, back pain, shoulder pain, spinal stenosis, arthritis, knee pain, previous knee surgeries, all these kinds of things where people are really getting their lives back. And so I've been enjoying Dave Asprey's podcast, and I'm hearing him even talk about sleep, when he talks about, and he had one, I think was with Dave Sinclair, who's another one of these longevity biohacker people, Harvard medicine, or not medicine, but Harvard biology degree and amazing research. So one of the things that I've been doing as we started to optimize, I'm sorry, I'm like really rambling.
No,
here,
you're good. You're doing a great job, Brandon.
and I'm just kind of sharing my journey over the last few months because I've been really on this diet, sleep, hydration, supplements, and all that. And I went back and was looking back at one of our previous guests, and Jason Crawford, the CEO and founder of Sovereignty with these CBD supplements, Purpose and Dream. And so he gave us some samples. Thank you, Jason, for giving us samples.
And the coolest little mixer I have.
The mixer is fantastic.
Phenomenal.
Super cool.
And it works.
I use it in my coffee too.
I used it for Homegirl's coffee.
I mean, but
today.
sometimes, did you say homegirl?
Homegirl. Yep. Slang.
Yeah.
Sorry. Slipping out. I am a professional. I promise.
Go ahead, Brandon.
Anyways, there's something to these supplements.
Yes.
And I ran them by, I did research on the internet.
Yep.
I'm not going to just take his word for it. Obviously, I'm going to do some research.
Yeah,
I
that
started
trusty
looking up on
internet.
the internet and talking to different doctors. Or what about this? Talk to my trainer about some of the things in them and all that.
Right.
There's some really good quality stuff in these supplements.
Absolutely.
They're not cheap,
Mm-mm.
but I'm telling you, there's the Purpose, especially pre-workout, energy, focus, clarity, for sure. And I notice a difference. I've taken it pretty regularly, and then sometimes I travel and I may forget it, or I may take a few, but I run out, or like I thought I had some in Canada, but I didn't. And so then I had like 3 or 4 days where I didn't take it.
Right.
And I definitely noticed like that second or third day, I'm like, I'm not feeling the same spark today.
Right. I could tell you. So thank you again also for the supplements and the free trial I had is what I'll just call it. Brandon, we've talked many times on the podcast, different challenges, health issues that you and I dive into. We're both geeks when it comes to biohacking. Life Force is awesome, especially now that Tony Robbins recognizes sleep. My experience with these were a little unique, right? I'm a guy who has just black coffee, pretty strict diet.
Yeah.
Don't really have issues falling asleep, but I wanted to give it a true shot. So for me, I took his advice and I did not take the full thing of Purpose. It comes in a really cool tube. Is that one already open, Brandon?
No.
And do you mind if I open this?
Yeah, go.
And what was neat about this is probably just because I don't take in a lot of caffeine besides coffee. I have been accused of doing 5-hour energies, but I was only able to do half of this. And I tried a full one the first time and I was shaking. Pre-workout.
Yeah.
Woke up first thing in the morning, didn't even drink water, mixed this and had it. And then I usually fast and then go work out. Loved Purpose. Purpose kept me energized, kept me in the workout. Great flavor. I don't think that gets said enough. I think the flavor of this is phenomenal. So Purpose to me, unbelievable. Let's transition.
Okay.
So Dream to me.
Well, but let's go back because Purpose
sure.
is a morning.
Yes.
It's a morning supplement.
Yes.
You wake up, you take it. You
Energy.
can do it from caffeine. On that note, you found CBD and I'm assuming you started using CBD, you saw improvement. There's obviously, I mean, this industry is a big industry. There's lots of supplements out there, and there's lots of, I would say probably maybe not so good supplements, or maybe not so research supplements, or little data. Maybe there's questions about the validity of some of the things that are in supplements. Was that kind of what you saw? You're like, oh, I can do this better? Or how did, what was the drive to obviously go and create Purpose and Sleep?
It started, so there's literally a 3-molecule progression.
Okay.
It started with THC. And the way that THC connected to me in my life was 2 ways. We were in Denver, Colorado. We were doing dispensary tours with an EO deal. And this guy that he was the founder and CEO of one of the real large brands in Colorado. And I walked in with all my peers, and we'd been out, the night before having a bunch of fun. We definitely tear it up. And he goes, well, I'll tell you why I'm here. And I'm thinking I'm going to hear this cancer story. Because you hear a lot of them in the THC space. So I'm like, wow, I'm going to hear another deep cancer story.
Yeah.
And he points to a bottle of Jack Daniels. And he goes, that was going to kill me.
Yep.
And I'm here to tell you that THC saved my life.
Yep.
And this was 6 years ago, roughly. I had never viewed THC.
Wow. So this is so recent. This is 6 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was where that kind of started speaking to me.
Okay.
And then in that same tour, we were going through the dispensary and manufacturer Mary's Medicinals, and they had this sign up on there, and they listed all these cannabinoids. At the bottom of it, they had THCV, and THCV is a cannabinoid that is an appetite suppressant. Yet again, something that I never computed, that there was molecules that could come out of the cannabis plant that could do all of these other different things. So my initial pursuit was, I love what, that concept that THCV has all these other medical benefits that they're still researching, but I feel pretty good about.
Yeah.
But that appetite suppression, I was like, that could be really good for a lot of the movements right now. People that are trying to transition into better, eating habits, that are trying to get into intermittent fasting, but need help. I never had the vision of trying to help people get skinny. I wanted to help people get well and be where they wanted to be. And so I just started brainstorming how I could use that molecule to create supplements. Well, that at the time was really only prevalent in the marijuana plant. So that's, highly regulated, very challenging to work with. And I'd be a state by state, it would be a state by state endeavor. When I started looking at hemp, I realized, whoa, there's this other set of molecules that I could still work with. THCV wasn't prevalent in the hemp plant. It's more now. But I started looking at CBG and CBN. CBN had become a favorite of mine out of research, and then a little bit of experience in the fact that it's got a really strong sedative effect. The CBG is a very energetic molecule when you test it energetically. There's a lot of people that experience CBG differently. It's the mother molecule to THC and to THC and CBD. So there's a really long outlook on that particular molecule. But when we were playing with it in the test kitchen, we just fell in love with those. And so we wanted to be a hemp product initially that people could feel, that people knew was working for them, and not get some of the things, CBD back in the day had some of the highest chargebacks of any supplement, because they bought it on this false pretense that there was going to be this miracle, and it does do great things, but some of it's slow on just an anti-inflammatory perspective.
Right. Mechanism of action is totally different now.
Exactly. And,
absolutely. But
there just wasn't sold to them the right way. And so they're getting, all these returns and chargebacks and things that you definitely do not want in the supplement space. And I said, no, our supplements people are going to feel. So what could we go after where people would feel the supplement? And so we narrowed down those, went into the test kitchen, and just over entrepreneured the thing.
That's a great.
We looked at probably 40 ingredients on each side. What could help people, what could help with someone's sleep, and then what could help people with cognition and energy. And by the time I was looking at all 40, I was like, oh, well, I just want all 40. You can't do that, obviously. Right. And so we narrowed it down and whittled it down and tried to make sense of the combinations that we were putting together, and then did version 1. Yeah. And then had another MD reformulate this particular set into a very practical long-term supplement.
So I am so fascinated.
So dancing around.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know if that answered the
No,
question.
it damn sure did.
Yeah. Now, I think another part of that I've noticed for me, and I started doing athletic greens as well.
Yes.
So I get up and I have my athletic greens, and then I have my purpose.
Okay.
There's something to that hydration first thing in the morning too. So I think you're getting the supplements, you're getting the CBD, the energy, the ashwagandha root, you're getting the whatever else is in there, all the other herbal stuff that's in there. But in addition to that, you're getting the water.
Right.
And I think that hydration first thing in the morning is super helpful.
I love where we are as a country right now and where we are talking about this. It shouldn't be so taboo. I think that THC and CBD are amazing. I went to a paleo conference here in Austin right after I went to Steamboat, Colorado. We used to go to Music Fest all the time and just use it recreationally, full disclosure. I would go to this paleo conference and they were talking about CBD for the first time. And it was years ago. And I had back issues, man. I had back issues. I have a full fusion in my lower back and nothing would help me. And, somebody there had this CBD oil. And man, when I tell you, you talk about feel, I'd taken stuff before. Obviously, when I smoked, I felt great, felt relaxed. I have floaters in my eyes. That would help. When I did that oil, it was just pure CBD. I felt great.
Were you doing it?
No.
Rubbing it in.
Yeah.
So I had a CBD the first time I was snowboarding up in Aspen. Actually, this was a few years ago. And I was like, I'm going to get a massage. 2 days on the slopes, you're pretty sore, you're beat up, especially when you only ski once or twice a year, you go a few days. I'm going to get a massage after one of those days. I was by myself with, meeting up with some people. So I went and get my massage, and the lady there and Aspen says, you want to use some CBD cream with your massage? And I was like, does it help? And she's like, I think it really helps. I said, okay. And so sure enough, she does the massage. I'm talking, I was really sore that day. I woke up the next morning after she did the massage plus with the CBD. And I was like, I could ski another 5 days. I felt great after that.
And it was a game changer for me to go, wait a second. I'd always been a Joe Rogan fan, big podcast guy. I've always loved him and his advocacy and the importance of marijuana with my mother, with people I know that from any condition from MS to cancer treatments. And so I'm the same way. I like to think I'm not an entrepreneur by spirit, but I'm like, for my health, how can I optimize this one body that I get for however many years I get it? And that it always came back to that. I love the fact that when you talked about, you had the 40 and you're like, all of them, but then whittled it down to those two. I'm assuming that those are the two that are in each one of these in front of me.
We did CBG and CBD on the energy formula, which is
because that's more of a protagonist, correct?
And
is it a protagonist or is it it's not an antagonist?
Oddly enough, CBD competes with the same receptors that caffeine does. Okay. So we have caffeine in our product because we do believe in low doses and that it's a really good nootropic.
Absolutely.
And people feel it, especially when you put it in the combination that we do. But CBD competes for it. Now, when people try our product, we have line with CBD and CBG and line without it on the purpose side, and the same thing on the dream, CBN and CBD. But when they try it with the CBG and CBD, even though it's supposed to potentially compete, most people report that it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying.
And what we get from it in the combination of the ingredients, we went for calm energy. Like you definitely.
So we're not talking Red Bull.
Absolutely not whatsoever.
Okay.
But it's interesting what we ended up with. Some of it we intended to, and some of it we didn't intend to. But purpose is our kind of our lead product. My goal was something again that I've always been chasing: better mental cognition, just quality energy throughout the day without crashes and drops. And yeah, that was the first two things that I was going to go after. What we ended up getting with a lot of people in it was also mood. And I think CBG plays a very big role in that, because when we were experimenting with isolate, we all just felt uplifted,
because that hits serotonin, doesn't it?
I don't know.
We got to be careful how we say it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I honestly don't know on the CBG side. I was working with an
It has
herbalist.
to have an effect on that.
the
Yeah.
initial person that I worked with on this had a really extensive background with Premier Research Labs.
Yeah.
And they have a really cool philosophy. When stuff comes in the door, they first make sure it energetically meets their standards.
Mm-hmm.
They don't, and this is back in the day, to my understanding, they may be a little
all the way
different
back to 2020.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But they were really big on energetics being a key part of their supplements, and that's
Mm-hmm.
why they think that they perform better. And so we were testing all this stuff in the beginning using applied kinesiology and really noticing different points on the body that it was responding to at a real high level, like in energy and then the mind that it was doing that, because there's not a whole lot of research out there on CBG. So there's a little bit of leap of faith on it, but there's that body is
And listen, I think what you're talking about during this podcast, we're behind the curtain here, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I love it. I think a lot of people take supplements, and when they talk to me about their health, I ask what they take, and I go, well, why are you taking that? Well, I saw a commercial, or a buddy of mine told me. I'm like you. I think that, there needs to be the science there, absolutely. But I like how Premier did that. They want to make sure it hits these factors. So 6 years ago, you walk into that cannabis cafe, and now we're here. When did you, from concept to now, when did it launch? When did Sovereignty officially launch?
Probably a year to a year and a half after that, I started the research and development,
Okay.
and thought that my path was cannabis.
Right.
And I started looking again at the molecules that I wanted, and it was going to be too much of a challenge to get out of marijuana. And so I started focusing on hemp. Went as far as South Africa to try to figure out how I could put this together, because they had different strains that we had there. And so I popped down there, and that was an interesting story. But I get back and really homed in on the CBG and CBN. From there, that was 3 years ago. Then we hit the test kitchen, and we spent way longer than I thought it was going to take, probably about 9 months of testing stuff that made people vomit. Just from taste, not from the ingredient combination, but just taste was awful. We were playing with different ingredients. We were measuring it with this heart rate variability machine that doctors use. And so,
like an ambulatory one, a heart, or just
it's a regular ECG.
Okay.
And so you wear the ECG. It's about a 5-minute test, and it's using heart spectral frequencies and heart rate variability and algorithms to come back and tell you where your nervous system's at, where your physiology's at, because it was crucial to us. We weren't going to make an energy product that reduced your physiology. And if we go take a lot of those and put them on one machine, you're not going to be really happy with what you see.
Yeah.
You're going to feel good in the moment, but you're going to watch your physiology start declining. And we were literally...
You don't want to be an energy drink. I don't want to get sued, so I won't say the names, but that's what a freaking energy drink does.
Yeah. And
Pops you up.
It hurts to watch people drink them nowadays. I mean, when I used to drink those in my 20s, and I started to kind of peel back on it, but that was my easy energy.
Right.
And nowadays, I don't recommend it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of other great products, and again, you can start with sleep, and that's going to give you a lot of energy too.
Yeah. So. Well, tell us about your team, because I don't assume that you have a biochemistry background.
Mm-mm.
And so,
Well, I will tell you, thanks to Dan, I did that 75 hard. I was getting in water. The first thing I did was take that, but man, I was drinking water all through workout, all through. So when I say fast, I took that and nothing until I started working out.
yes.
But I agree.
Yeah.
You know what? That could have changed, but I really enjoyed Purpose.
So did you try the nighttime supplement?
I did. Dream.
Okay.
So to me, and he was fully transparent on the podcast, and you guys could see, talked a lot about purpose.
Yeah.
Right. And the energy side. I definitely want to get in. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead.
Obviously we talk about sleep, right?
Yeah.
We love sleep. That's really how Brandon and I met. We slept together.
Big spoon.
Big spoon. I'm curious. I'm looking at the contents
Mhm.
and Dream. Tell us a little bit about, because we talked about the energy side, right? Tell me about this in particular. I think this is the one we definitely would like to focus on as well.
Sure.
Any way we can be helpful, but
Yeah. The approach with Dream.
and by the way, I sleep with plants is probably my favorite. That's a t-shirt, brother.
We got them.
I don't
Not
know
for
who-
sale.
I don't know who-
I'll send you the ones that I have.
I don't know how you did the it's beautiful. I sleep with plants. Please send me. I'm a medium. actually extra large. Go ahead. I apologize.
And since you guys are in the sleep space, understand where we're coming from. We are trying to enhance sleep, not fix it. We can't fix sleep. You have to, in my understanding and interpretation.
Well, first of all, you need to wear your oral appliance. I'm sorry.
Totally. And that's, sleep hygiene and sleep practices. Without that, this doesn't overcome bad habits. So you have to start with better habits, and you should see an improvement if it works for you when you take it. And where we dialed in our approach, because there's a lot of sleep supplements out there.
Right.
Naturally, when you sell an energy product, you often will complement it with a sleep product. Right. But we really wanted to be best in class in both. We went calming. We wanted to calm the nervous system and calm the body to prepare them for a good sleep. So
I like that.
Our product works best if you take it an hour before, and people that respond to it say they are overwhelmingly calm. And we're doing that in very good ways with the holy basil, with the GABA, with the lemon balm. They all contribute to this calming effect. And the ones that we have are clinically studied to slow you down, slow your mind down, and then be more prepared to get into a sleep state. So it's not a, overcome anything product. If you were awake at 1 a.m, it may not help you. It's not designed for insomnia. There's better approaches for that. This is, I just want to improve where I'm at.
So we talk about the physical things that we do. We talk to people who drink herbal teas right before they go to sleep. All the way to people who take hardcore stuff to go to sleep. I noticed, you know what I'm going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Melatonin. Tell me.
It's not a huge dose either.
It's not. That's what I'm happy about, by the way.
Yeah, we went really,
because people are taking. So there's a brand new study out there. I'll jump in. They're ODing on melatonin right now. People are, and not ODing like they're passing. They're getting to a point where it's getting unhealthy. Growing up, hey, kids can take melatonin, and we take melatonin. It makes me want to go to sleep. Melatonin. Brandon said it on one of our podcasts, and that's what really got me diving down this rabbit hole. Melatonin is the best way to get melatonin. Brandon, you remember? Sunlight. Take off your sunglasses. Go out. Yeah. And so it's curious that I feel and fear that there's going to be this backlash on melatonin. And melatonin is an excellent compound. It's an excellent in supplements. Tell me how that kind of played a part in because it was just well known, or is it, because I love the way you broke down the energy side. I'd love to hear kind of that same thought process with all the same people to calm before someone goes to sleep. If you could share that.
Yeah. On the melatonin side, we did go light. Number one, when we were trying it in the slightly higher doses, we were noticing people have, more vivid dreams, and they didn't like that part of it. Secondly, we knew that lower doses of melatonin had just really strong studies that it does support the sleep cycle, but it
doesn't disrupt the sleep cycle.
Doesn't disrupt. And Max was even one that had enlightened me that there was some thought, this was a couple of years ago when we were working on this, that too high melatonin actually can become a histamine.
That's exactly what this study is about. Exactly.
And that's, we took that to heart. We tested it with, multiple people before we went into the larger test, and that small amount seemed to be a sweet spot. We tried it without it. We were doing valerian and hops, which is a good combination, but for some reason without that, a little bit of melatonin, we weren't getting the same feedback. So that's why we stuck with that small amount, and it seems to be working really well.
So I've always been curious about anything that brings us calming, right? Like I can drink hot green tea before I go to sleep, and I'm a certain weight, and a partner of mine could be a little tiny thing. And I'll use Brandon and his girlfriend as an example. But so each one of these are individuals. I'm not making fun. I'm being serious. So the different ways.
She does exist.
No, she does. I just talked to her. My joke about her not existing. I'm trying to figure out why you cracked her foot so she'd stay in the country. We'll talk about that another time. But no, I'm just curious. So on this, is there any thought of you that's like, well, and these come 10 to a box, maybe she needs to take half of that in her drink. Brandon's the full, because they're just not only different genders, different weight, different, or is it, I'm fascinated by that. How do you know that this is the right amount for whoever?
We knew as a company
Mhm.
that we were only going to use the clinically studied amount of an ingredient.
Okay.
So our brand promise is that we use the therapeutic dosage of the ingredient, or it doesn't go on that box. Now you have melatonin, which is controversial. So that
No, it's not
that one's-
controversial.
that one's gonna have
It's not controversial.
ranges.
It's just that's
Yeah.
where I was going with it.
ranges. On the other ingredients, virtually all of them are linked to a clinical study.
Mhm.
And those are the amounts that we chose. Now,
Okay.
so that's what we wanted to offer.
So a kid is not. I saw it said keep out of reach of children. Sovereignty is basically saying you need to be of a certain age, of a certain weight, of a certain whatever to be able to take.
It's got CBD in it. So in most states, they can't even.
So Dan can't even take it. Okay. Got it.
Our non-CBD product,
Anybody, you're right.
Yeah, kids, it's just, that's usually
So
not
what
a
is
path
CBD?
that supplements
So
companies go
CBD,
down.
Is that different in each state? Like, is it 18, 20? What
I
is-
didn't.
I don't even know.
I use CBD on my son. So
Right.
yeah.
But what is CBD?
I believe in CBD for kids, but in some states they prevent it. I mean, you can't advertise it in some at 21, some you can't advertise it at 18.
I had no
There's
idea.
all kinds of limitations.
I just
I
learned
didn't know
something too,
CBD
yeah.
was regulated like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, I didn't know it was like that too. So thank you for bringing that up
Mhm.
because I think, there's just such a natural, again, let me be careful how I say this. I think I'm with you, by the way, much rather have my kid take CBD than some of the other stuff that's out there right now. And she just turned 17 this
Yep.
week, by the way. Yeah. I mean,
Congrats.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
So
So back
yeah,
to my question. So it is studied. And again, I think it's just like anything. We've been having NyQuil for years. And, when I was a little kid, take the whole thing. Well, that was too much the last time. I'm going to take half. Right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And interesting on the sleep product, when we got into it, we were chatting with this guy that represents somebody in the sleep industry, and he's got his own supplement line. And they did some research, and they found that the two most common remedies that people would go to for sleep, at least in this group that they
Mhm.
looked at, was Tylenol PM
Yep.
and alcohol.
Yep.
Yeah.
I can't think of two things that are worse.
Yeah.
And there's a third that's coming up that I kind of agree with is gummies or THC.
Yeah.
For sleep.
Yeah.
That one certainly, in favor of, and have tried it myself all kinds of different ways to see how it impacts my body and
Yeah.
whether I lose short-term memory, whether I'm less functional. And I've, from my own body, has proven that otherwise.
Well, there's a lot of
100%
research out
agree.
there that also shows that THC kind of can enhance, for sure, the CBD.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
So that in conjunction with whatever the benefits of the type of cannabinoids, cannabinoids that you're using, the THC can enhance that. There's a
I'm gonna show you something.
synergistic effect.
Mhm.
So I guess maybe in terms of product line, what else are you guys working on? Is this it? Is this a 2-product company and your focus is here and this is very much like just your line? Or are there other things that can be created to help supplement, if you're really focused on weight loss, for example, or do you think that's in your space, or is this really where the focus is? And then, I'm hearing now about, like, we were talked about Delta 8, and so I had no idea. We learned about Delta 8 and how, like, technically that's legal.
Mhm.
A lot of CBD places are selling Delta 8. Would that have the same synergistic effect? I mean, people are drop shipping Delta 8 now.
Oh, I know. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah.
That they're doing that.
So this is the most amazing thing that I got in Key West from a friend. And it is a pain stick that has 1,000 milligram THC, 1,000 CBD. And it looks like a stick of deodorant. And for my back, I told you guys I have a fused back. My buddy, he goes, just try this because you're standing all day at festivals. You're having a good time. I fished. Unbelievable.
You just rub it in?
Unbelievable.
Really?
It was the most amazing. And my father was there with his girlfriend. And I remember telling him, like, dude, this is the one thing. And I'm just, a lot of my friends are up in Oklahoma where it's legal and every corner has one.
Mhm.
But so back to the point being that it's funny. So the 3 things on sleep, let's get back. I apologize. The 3 things on sleep that most people take, I agree. It's either Advil or Tylenol PM, alcohol, because they do that NyQuil or that ZQuil.
Yep. Yep.
And people are taking stuff left and right if they're lucky enough to take THC. But there is that other realm, right? A supplement that will help you calm before you go to sleep.
Yeah.
Brandon's a big advocate on sleep health, right? You said hygiene. You know, are you looking at a screen before you go to sleep? Are you calming down? Meditation, different things. Having something like a supplement like that, I would advocate as well, saying, if this helps you get to that space that gets you calm so you can go to sleep, I see a win-win.
Well, and I wonder if there's a market for people like me or the dentists that I work with or the
jerks
sleep
who
physicians
have a
out there,
beard,
or those guys, you know, that we can say, hey, you know, this is a product that we can get behind for patients that, because I have a lot of patients like,
Yep.
I can fix your breathing.
Yep.
But I can't turn your brain off. I can't shut
Anxiety.
you down. I can't help with like that part is a you part in terms of your anxiety, your wind down process, your hygiene, your habits, and what can you do? And so we can help and coach them. But if there's something that can push them along, that's not alcohol, that's not Tylenol PM, that's not Ambien or those types of things. I mean, I think there's.
I'm curious. Do me a favor, Jason.
I totally agree.
Yeah,
we're so stimulated, whether we did to ourselves physically or just from our environment, that it's nice to have a little helping hand.
Yeah.
Have you had luck? Have you had? I mean, you're talking to, and I'm not just blowing smoke. I mean, you're talking to somebody here who has a very good presence here in Austin in the sleep world. Are you having pushback from meeting with people like Dr. Brandon, or they've been like, man, this is awesome? Or have they been kind of, I don't know. I mean, I love sales. So the sales part of me just is diving into this, like, oh my gosh, what can I do with this? How has it been? And you don't have to give me your pitch, but how has it been talking to people like Dr. Brandon? Like, has it been good reception?
We haven't worked it real hard. Just the second we got distracted, if we got distracted on direct to consumer, it's a really good way to spend a lot of money really quickly and have no results. Yeah. It's a science. And so our team wasn't large enough.
Direct to consumer is so tough.
Yeah.
It's just tough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so our next path will be practitioners, because I think this is better in a practitioner's office.
100%. That's where I was thinking, Jason.
And there's some amazing compound pharmacies in town. Amazing. I love what they stand for. But if you walk up to them and we haven't sat there and educated them from top to bottom, it's a challenging product to explain. But a practitioner looks at it real quick and goes, oh, I know why this works. And they may have that knowledge base too. It's just sitting next to a less expensive product and trying to give a sales pitch. A retailer is not going to do that.
You need a booth at SleepCon. We need to bring them to SleepCon. Don't you think?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. We'll talk about that after the show.
So I haven't gotten much kickback. Almost always the first round of kickback that I get or resistances. Just let's talk about clinical studies. And so our response is, look, we didn't have the opportunity to do that. We did anecdotal, but we also chose ingredients that had clinical studies behind them because we want this to work, that we're very serious about getting results. And
I think, it's funny to me because the supplement world, and y'all had alluded to this at the very beginning of the podcast, that they're everywhere. And I could see that in so many different places, Jason. I could see it at a head shop. I'm being dead serious.
Yeah, we've thought about it.
I could see it in a sleep dentist office. I could see it in the sleep realm. I could definitely see it in the, one day, the retail space. It's got to be that when you're talking about that vision, it's got to be kind of dialed in.
It's a tough industry though, because there's a negative stigma with so many supplements, because you and I both know there's a lot of supplements out there that are shit. And so when physicians and doctors and healthcare providers are looking at supplements that they're trying to recommend for their patients, it's really it's the wild, wild west. We look at protein, we look at the supplements, the vitamins, what's in them, what's not in them. Are they effective? Are they not?
Herbalife is still in existence, guys. I saw my buddy's parents do it in the 80s.
There's no,
I'm just calling it.
But exactly. And so there's a lot of stuff that's being out there that we don't really know if it works, because we don't really know if there's not the studies to show. And so that's the negative stigma that I think, and because it's not as heavily regulated, FDA approval process and things like that, that it's, that's the shtick, and that's that's what you have to overcome. And being able to say, hey, I'm in the supplement industry, but we do it better is one, that's admirable, but two, you still have to overcome that.
Yeah.
Well, and there is a whole new wave of practitioners that appreciates herbal supplements as well. For a while, if there was a problem, then there was a pharmaceutical answer to that. And now I'm seeing a much wider adoption.
Well, many DOs. I mean,
Yeah.
listen,
Careful.
yeah.
Careful.
I know.
You don't want another meeting.
Well, you think the MDs, I know. You think the MDs and dentists have issues. It's like MD versus DO. But many of these physicians are out there, and that's first line.
But I think a lot of patients want something like this. A lot of people don't want the pharmaceutical. They don't want, Jenny just had foot surgery. She doesn't even want to take Tylenol.
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm like, hey, it's okay for a week to take Tylenol because you're hurting, but they don't want that. A lot of patients are there. So,
and again, sadly, she doesn't have readily available access to THC, and that would have been a superb.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know this guy like I know.
She's actually from Canada. So we got plenty of that in Canada.
Yeah. You even talked about the taste. Yeah.
Taste is a little bitter.
A little bitter. But I've seen people at bars do worse shots, guys.
For sure.
And we won't even bring up wet pussy.
We don't have to talk about wet pussy.
We won't bring up wet pussy. But so
delicious.
For me,
that's a good shot.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Tastes good. Wet pussy tastes good.
I'll do wet pussy as
We'll put the link right here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Callback.
Or the whatever the mix is. So Dream, not the best tasting. But for me, and he even said this, it's a settling down. This isn't something that I'm going to hit a button and go to sleep.
No.
But
it's not like a tranquilizer.
Right. But for someone who exhausts themselves, gets up very early, works out, I'm ready to hit the sack. Y'all know this about me. Go to bed. So I did. I took it. But here's the thing. I don't know if it relaxed me any more than I already did. With that said, though, I know people that have taken it, you and Jenny.
Yeah. Jenny loves it.
And I know you're going to talk about this because
Jenny calls it her sleepy juice.
Her sleepy juice.
Yeah. You make me
could help with picking Jesus juice and Michael Jackson. I'm sorry I had to say that. But I think, so I'm a big fan.
Yeah.
And I'm one of these guys like you. You use the word cheap. I'll just say it's worth whatever. Brandon and I are big believers, and even Dan. Your return on investment, your body is your biggest investment, man. So the price is in the same range as all other supplements. There's nothing high, nothing low. For me, it was almost like Crystal Light, but with the benefits. So purpose, 100%. Do I need Dream? No. Do I think it's great that it's out there? Absolutely.
Well, and I learned a lot about CBD. CBD is a catchphrase right now.
Yep.
It's everybody's talking about CBD, CBDC. And so, we know that CBD has benefits.
Sure.
Lots of benefits, but he's gone another level with it to find these other cannabinoids that
that's right.
With the CBD, the CBN, the CBG,
the different
strand. These cannabinoids have calming effects. These cannabinoids have energizing effects,
right? And
being able to mix those in a way with the other things. But you're right about Dream. If you're thinking Dream is like Ambien,
right,
meaning you're going to take this supplement and it's just going to,
I got to be in bed when I take it.
You're going to be knocked out and just fall asleep. Like when you do heroin.
No, I usually stay up for a couple of days.
That's not going to happen.
Right.
But what does happen is, and this is what I noticed, and Jenny noticed this even more so for her, is this just calming effect. And so I think what it is, it's like that help in winding down,
sure,
that calming effect that puts you in the right frame of mind. Now, again, I think if you take the Dream and you're watching Netflix and scrolling through FaceTube and whatever else, like you're probably not going to get the full calming effect of it because you're still being active and light and all that kind of stuff. But if you do all the other things with it,
agree,
I think there's a compounding effect. And we also know that you can maximize. There's like a synergistic effect too if you have THC and CBD.
I agree.
So now there's other reports out there that says THC maybe messes up some of your REM sleep and you don't quite get as much REM sleep, but then there's other studies that's kind of up in the air still.
It is. And we both know sleep physicians and sleep dentists that are heavy believers in CBD and bringing that into practices. This is where this fits in.
Yeah.
And for me, I do not have a problem putting our name, podcast name, with Sovereignty. I think the episode, what I loved about the episode especially was his humility.
Yeah.
You know, we in the podcast, we come across a lot of people that do a lot of talking and a lot of selling. He didn't sell. You know, he was just, and the science behind it really intrigued me and made me nervous at first because I didn't know how far I wanted to delve in. Thank God I had you on my right, or back then on my left, to kind of
Perry on the left, Price on the right. There used to be the show in
Stuck in the
Hawaii.
Middle with you.
Anyway.
Oh, sorry. But no, I think, you know, so I'm a big fan. I think the episode is worth another watch, and especially during this summer break. Both Brandon and I are going to be taking times with our families, getting away a little bit, putting our brain on ice. Dan will still be hard at work cutting up all these videos that you're watching.
Well, but now that we've had a couple months to use the supplement, and I subscribe, so just full disclosure, Jason was kind enough to give us a free trial of each one, and I did a full subscription to both. So every month it just shows up in the mail. Every morning I get up, every night before bed, I mix it, I do it, and it's been really good for me, and it's a part of my routine now that I think is helping to optimize my energy and helping to optimize my sleep. And so now that we've had a couple months to use the product, I did want to go back and put my stamp of approval on it. I recommend it. It's worked well for me. You know, I know other people that use it. Dr. Kerr uses it as well.
Big fan of both.
And yeah,
Kerr
absolutely. Go back. It's a really interesting episode. If you have time, go back. If you haven't seen that episode yet with Jason Crawford, go back and check it out, because there's also a cool personal story behind him starting that business,
the journey
and the journey of how he got into that. And again, one of our common things that just keeps coming back up and up and up is a passion.
Yep.
And he had a passion to make a difference in his life and also for other people, just like you and I do.
Yep.
And so I appreciate that episode. I appreciate Jason, and I appreciate the supplements, Dream and Purpose. Use it every day. Like it. Try it out. Sovereignty.com.
Yep.
Or no, sovereignty.co.
Yep.
Is the website. I think com was taken.
Yep.
It's on the side here. Sovereignty.co. Sleep like you mean it. Dream, purpose. Good stuff. Check it out.
Yeah. And guys, we're going to end this podcast how we always end it, with just a personal note. Hope you guys are having a great summer. Thank you so much for being part of our family. Thank you so much for the subscriptions, the likes. Continue to spread the word. We are humbled to be able to bring this podcast to you guys. It's fun. Hopefully you're getting something out of it. Handsome Dan, thank you again for all that you do for this podcast. You're definitely the backbone. And so on that note, gentlemen.
Yep. Like, subscribe, share, do the things, click the buttons.
And Dan
Cheers.
has no drink, but cheers. And thank you for sleeping around with Dr. Brandon Matthew and Handsome Dan.
When the sun goes